and welcome to Light Warrior Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Karen Kan, author of the #1 bestseller, Sensitivity is Your Superpower, How to Harness Your Gifts, Fulfill Your Purpose, and Create a Life of Joy. And if you are brand new to my channel, would love for you to hit the subscribe button. And also, if you would like to be part of my light medicine community, we'll actually put the link below. It's actually free to join. We have monthly mini healings and lots of really, really cool events, and you get some support, especially if you're a sensitive soul. And also we have the Sensitive Soul Empowerment Guide, the 3 ways of navigating your way to more peace, positivity, and personal power. A lot of P's there. I decided to put in the title. And that's at sensitivesoulguide.com. And it's a just downloadable PDF and give you a lot of hints on, how to not let your sensitivity just like take over your life, which can be really, really challenging. So today I have with me Victoria Quinn, and we have a very, very important topic and exciting topic. So I'm super excited for this podcast. It's around navigating the dark night of the soul. We're going through some pretty deep stuff and pretty challenging stuff. And I found Victoria and loved what she had to offer in this phase. So that's why we asked her to be on our podcast. Let me tell you a little bit about her before I formally introduce her. So she's the creator of divineinspiration.org, and we'll have her spell that out for you a little later, how you can find her. So she's dedicated to embodying personal sovereignty and leading by example, helping others to empower themselves by balancing mindset and heart space. So she's a Californian, and she's got a Bachelor of Science in Finance at the University of San Francisco. And this is really interesting. Left the U.S. Army as a military police captain. Well, don't mess with this woman. Worked at an allopathic hospital as a spiritual care coordinator until she discovered Terrain Theory podcast. We were just talking before we hit record about our mutual person that we know with Dr. Tom Cowan. So she got initiated into the whole Dark Night of the Soul journey, and then started kind of providing ceremonial events, counseling service, readings, things like that. And then her business helps people connect the dots of their personal life synchronicities, which guide them to uncover more of themselves. I think that's really, really important right now, because we can get into a mindset of victimhood when things happen to us and life happens to us, but we can then shift, and sometimes it's a quantum shift, to a completely different perception, a perception that does serve us. And so I think Victoria is a wonderful example of that. So welcome, Victoria, to the show. Love to have you here.
I'm really great. Like, honestly, I'm just so, I get so nervous and excited to talk with people who, like, I feel like are ascended masters. Like, it really feels, it kind of like, I was walking back from the gym today. I was just like, she feels like a fairy godmother.
Oh, that's so
like
funny.
the
I've been
energy.
called that. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I actually aspire to be fairy godmother. Well, I actually wanting to write a bunch of children's books on superpowers, but
Oh my
that's about me. And
God.
let's talk about you. Thank you so much. I
Yes,
love that. I actually love that. I really, really do. And I'm of the age to be a godmother as well, and a grandmother, actually. So, Victoria, like, tell us your story. Like, it sounds so interesting, some of the kind of things that you've done in your past, and how do we get to this space where you've kind of dove in to this consciousness spirituality work?
oh man, it's so much trial and error.
Yep, know that
um,
one.
yeah. Oh my goodness. So, and the nervousness comes, I'll be honest, the nervousness with the laughter comes from the fact that this is a really dark topic.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
yeah. Um, so you like feel the energy get really dark, like all of a sudden. But it was terrifying, super terrifying to find out how the horrible things of the external world are reflected within us.
Mm.
Because I've lived in so much denial of wanting to blame everything else, like exactly what you said, for what was happening to me. And I was very strongly advocating for my own victimhood, like just while I was very abusive and neglective to myself, because that's what I learned. So it's that balance of learning not to be ashamed that that we have that past, integrating that past and using it as discernment for the present, and finding out that we can have compassion for other people because we all really share the same experiences because we're all one consciousness. So all these people, all of us who deny ourselves from like connecting with other people, it's just like, we are them, like they are us. And it's so beautiful to see, to be able to experience like and see people's Christ consciousness within themselves, and learning not to be ashamed of our own Christ consciousness. Because like, yeah, I was walking back from the gym today, and like I kind of tend to hide myself at the gym by wearing this hat. And it's kind of like, yeah,
Is
it's
it a
those
police hat? No, I'm just kidding.
no, but it's definitely like, I definitely still somewhat dress kind of military, like tans and greens. But they feel natural. They feel
okay. Well, it is kind of like natural world,
nature.
right? Tans and
Yeah,
greens. Kind of
I'm
like my
blending
background.
in. Yeah, exactly. We're just blending in. um, yeah, so yeah, it definitely, yeah, it's a huge topic. Yeah, so it depends on where you would like to go with this, but I have like, there's a section of it of um, like how I got into learning about terrain theory, and oh, I'd like to hear your opinion on terrain theory actually, and how you got into like how you started learning about the terrain model space and everything, because I feel like that's really unique with everyone's journey. Um, but yeah, so I guess if I were to say like the dark night of the soul journey, it usually occurs with a series of events that are very intense and sometimes really, we could say traumatic. Some people don't like saying the word traumatic, but definitely a lot of serious things that happen where we have no other way but to look at it. And so within a few months, I found out that two of the guys I was dating, like one guy I dated for 10 months, I found out he was cheating on me like ridiculously. Um, and then the other guy I manifested after that guy, I found out he was cheating on me New Year's Day. So this is January 2023. I lost my job. Technically, it shows that I quit, but you know the way that they treat people in a lot of businesses where it's like you have a fever, you take 2 days off, and all of a sudden your boss doesn't like you because you missed out on Monday and Tuesday. So it was kind of one of those things. So like lost my job, like just kind of being upset of the fact that my boss didn't like that I was. And there is nervousness here. Like I'll be honest, there is nervousness here is because I'm still learning to forgive, like forgive myself and forgive people. Um, and it was really intense. I overdosed on Percocet. So that was January 3rd. And it was 20 milligrams of, it was 20 milligrams of Percocet, of this drug that I had kept for years after getting my wisdom teeth out. And so there was a period where I really thought that I was going to die because I was like upheaving every 5 to 10 minutes. And then like my cat died in my arms within those months. But during that time, so I decided to become celibate January 1st of 2023 when I found out my last guy cheated on me. And so I've been celibate from January 2023 to now. And I realized that in order for me to actually manifest a happy life, a self-fulfilling life, I need to work on myself, because I knew subconsciously that I was ignoring like all of the stuff that had happened to me in my childhood, using and not taking responsibility and healing myself in order to just blame everyone else for the circumstances, because I just didn't want to be consciously aware of it. So I'll be honest with you, I was using weed a lot to go into my inner self and connect with my inner child, and talk to her and nurture her. and okay, what would my mom say in this way, if in this loving manner, or to myself, and then embodying that as myself. And then, I was, depressed during that time. And I say it in quotations because there's like a there's like a meme that I saw where it's like you're actually not ever depressed. So like, I don't know scientifically. I'm a generalist right now, but I'm learning everything I can. Like, there's a lot of information out there, like water consciousness, free energy, virology is a scam. It's just like, where do you want to go?
Right, exactly. Like it's like almost like a fire hose, right? Like all the information, and if we're open to it, we can kind of like go, oh wow, viruses don't exist. What? Right? And then there's the rabbit hole, another rabbit hole, another rabbit hole, another rabbit hole. Yeah, but it sounds like, you really made a conscious choice, January 1st, 2023, that you were really going to just stop just whatever you were, unconsciously doing, to really kind of dive within, um, and see what is there. And then you were talking about some of the inner child work and maybe speaking to yourself. And this is another, and I know you're a goddess of synchronicity. So this is another synchronicity, because literally I was on a call with my Light Warrior Revolution members, and these people have taken my level 1 training program, like a healer training program. And then we have master classes every month. And this month I decided to do it on perception kung fu. So basically it's like, how do we shift our perception in a way that it serves us? So it didn't matter what the problem was that the person wanted a demo on. We took that in the first question. And this is unusual, because normally I just do the testing, show them how to do the technique, right? But in this case, when they were in the hot seat, the first question was, how is this serving you? And they had to really dive in to go, how is this problem serving me, right? And it was just so, we got into such vulnerable stuff, that it ended up pretty much everybody, we did inner child work, and they were talking to their inner child from the place of that higher self, or adult, healed self. And like, we were all crying. I mean, it was like so intense, but really awesome as well. So I think it's awesome that you're consciously, diving in and doing this work, because all the outer circumstances that you talked about, yeah, I think most people would be like, yeah, that would definitely put me in a dark night. So feel free to, comment more about that and your experience after diving in.
Well, it's crazy because during that whole period, those months of like all those things happening, I was like, I guess you could say mindlessly and mindfully scrolling on TikTok while really high on weed. And
I try to
well,
imagine that.
really, well, totally high on weed. And
Weed and TikTok. I never thought of that one.
and like, so the dark things started coming up, like the Rockefellers, Illuminati, human trafficking in Hollywood, skin suits.
Right.
So all of those things started to happen. So that all came up to the surface first.
Mm.
And then with spirituality, it was like, oh, did you know that Noah's Ark was actually, like, he was a Sumerian king, and he talked to these Anunnaki that are in the Bible. And then
Nothing is as we have been taught. We know
yeah,
that for sure. Fascinating.
I'm literally just like, what is happening? Like, because I'm high too.
You're like, okay, am I in a different timeline? Okay, this is our joke. This is our running joke among the sensitive souls and light medicine community. And this is when we're not high. Okay, we actually go, what's that? Where this happened? And then we'll check okay, we're still not timeline. Okay, good, I got it.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh, yeah, no,
Yeah, like
exactly.
Moses was like, a high, like some sort of priest, like, that.
Oh, was he?
Anyway,
Oh.
anyway, this was in the Anastasia books, the Rigging Cedar series, which, by the way, I'm mentioning because you have sunflowers behind you, and that is the cover of their first book.
Oh,
So
awesome.
anytime we
Oh,
see sunflowers, I think of the book series. Anyways, I'm not at that book yet. My husband's reading the book series. But yeah, she was Anastasia is a pretty amazing talk about superpower being. And she was just kind of bluntly and kind of factual, like matter of fact, saying, "Oh yeah, well, I think everyone was, Moses is actually one of the high priests, and then there's all this genocide going on." And I was like, "Wait, we thought he was the hero." So anyway, I don't, I wasn't there, okay, and I'm not intuiting it. It's what she was sharing. So there's all these rabbit holes, you know. So you were going down these rabbit holes and getting the wow, right?
Yeah.
And then of course you're high, right? So then it's really penetrating
Yeah.
you.
Oh my gosh.
So then what happened?
And then I was learning about divine counterparts and Christ consciousness, because I haven't heard of Christ consciousness before. But then this is where like quantum mechanics comes in. I learned about the double slit experiment, and then I was like, oh wait, that is happening in real time with me and the entire external world. like like walking from the gym today, I'm talking to myself naturally. Like everyone thinks I'm a crazy cat witch, like whatever. I mean, it's totally okay. I'm learning to integrate that too. They like me, but there's right now in this, not many people know me, and you know, we do different things. We barefoot ground, we hug a
Yep.
tree, like
Yep.
we're
Right.
very
Right.
different. But yeah, I was walking to the gym this morning, and as I would talk to myself, I'd ask myself a question like, oh yeah, is that true? Is this confirmation? And then just like a round of applause of birds. And it's like, really? And like,
Yep.
just like, really, confirmation again. And
It's
it's just
so
like,
cool.
it's just so cool.
It's so
It's
cool.
so cool. And then, sorry, so for TikTok, I started recognizing the same guy talking about copper and electric culture. And
Okay, I know
so
which one you're talking about.
exactly. And then I went on Spotify and I looked up electric culture and copper. So I was just like, because in my mind I thought, oh, if we can grow, if we can grow our food naturally and we can heal ourselves just with the geometric shape of a pyramid, like that makes sense why like everything has been like a lie to us. That's why we're living under, or we've been choosing to live under this illusion, because we don't want to take responsibility for the fact that we can actually naturally heal ourselves and make ourselves self-sustainable.
Yep.
And 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 I'll be honest too, like I think part of the reason why actually not I don't think I know why the Dark Night of the Soul initiated was because I had this innate fear for so long of giving birth. Like when I was a little kid, I was like, no, because it's horrifying. It's terrifying in the hospital. And when I was younger, so out of all my sisters, I'm the one who was not breastfed by my mom.
Oh, really?
Because I was
Gosh.
hospitalized for 3 days, like immediately after being
Oh,
born. So the trauma started like immediately when I was born, if not before. And so I realized, oh, okay, so if I am going to manifest like a potential family and life in the future, I also need to be okay with, so by healing my inner child is healing the divine masculine and feminine,
yep.
learning to grow myself to become my own adult, and then being okay with the possibility of having a kid if it's a natural birth. And so that was, I realized that a little bit later down the line, but then I found Matt Rosky from Cultivate Elevate on terrain theory. And then I listened to his episode, and then after listening to the first episode, I just went to town on terrain theory. Just like I like, and then I was so excited. I would listen to these people like all the time. They feel like ascended masters in my house. Like Tom Cowan all the time. Um Amanda Vollmer, like all the
She's in our
time.
movie too.
Oh my gosh, yeah. She's awesome. She's so awesome. Just like all of
Yep.
these
She did
people.
not do any F bombs in the movie, just so you know. Because Keith, the producer and director, he's an angel. He's an earth angel. He's just so and his intention and the energy of the movie just went right. And
Oh,
his
that's
wife
awesome.
loves Amanda, and she was thinking, "Oh boy, this will be interesting. What's she gonna say?" But she was just so chill, awesome, and chill. The movie it was so great. It was so funny.
That's a good reminder because like we can get so excited sometimes. Like I can get so excited. It's like, all right, chill. Like the energy, it's like, you're so excited, you're so excited. All right, present moment. It's really exciting.
We do our own
It's
electroculture. Who
exciting.
needs copper, right? Just like
Yeah. So yeah, the thing is I don't have any pyramids right now in like this place where I live at, but I was like when I started learning about electric culture and copper, I was starting to utilize that in my own garden. And I would say it grew, but I would say that the soil in my area was definitely rocky. So I had to like
yeah.
get a lot of rocks first, and then people have like different techniques. Like Ben from Terrain Theory, he puts the seeds in his mouth before he
Yes, that's
plants them.
actually in the Anastasia book.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and then
So I'm basically regurgitating like
no,
all
no,
this
like the synchronicities are just wild, just wild. My husband's really into it right now, and we actually did that for our friend's um, anniversary. We put sunflower seeds underneath our tongue and we planted them because supposedly the plant will read us and will grow to what man needs, and I'm like, sounds good to me. Can't hurt, right? That's pretty cool. I would never have thought of putting it under my tongue. So that's really cool that you read that or you heard that.
Yeah, all these little, it's like all these little things. There's something that shocked me too, where it was one of the first things I learned while like really high on TikTok during that period of time. There was a video and it said like scientists were baffled about how honeybees can fly when their bodies are not proportionate to their wings.
Right.
And then they found out that that their wings have geometric pyramid patterns in them,
Mm,
so they levitate.
yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
fly, they levitate. I was just like those little things. I'm like, oh my gosh, how does not more people know about this? And we could be levitating right now.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So yeah, I have not perfected that. I think I've kind of done the opposite, which is really ground. Maybe that's where I just need to
Oh
be.
yeah,
Right. So I'm actually
you're
like
right.
10 pounds heavier. But my well, I'll introduce you, but my mentor Marcus, he's talking to off-world beings who taught him a long time ago all the Egyptian healing modalities and the pathways and the pyramids and all this kind of stuff. So he's teaching it to us now. And we talk about these like they're octagonal structures in our bodies. There's six of us, and they rotate. And the faster they spin when they're balanced, the lighter we can become. So he did actually spin his pyramid a while back so fast that he started levitating, but then he got scared. And he hasn't gotten it back yet. But I'm like, okay, well, you had the experience. I believe you. So, and I haven't actually worked on it. But I think it's really fascinating. I thought, well, maybe that'll help me with my figure skating, right? I just jump up in my axle and then I'll be just like, they'll give me lots of time to spin and whatever and then land. That'd be great. I just thought of that. I just did not think of that before. Okay, I'll have to work on it. So that's pretty cool how you went down this rabbit hole. And then you have this kind of aha at some point where you were like, okay, wait a second. There was a thought that out here, like my mom did this or my boyfriend did it, whatever. But wait a second, we're part of the same one. So how did you traverse that potential like victimhood? It's all their fault. Like, look at me, I'm traumatized. I lost my job. I lost my cat. I lost my boyfriend. Like how did you get to that spot there?
To learning that everything is reflected back internally.
Yeah. So you kind of getting to a sense of at least a degree of peace around, wait a second, I'm not a victim. Like that piece is so huge for people, I think.
It took a really long time. I mean, I think it's going to be our life journey of just practicing the homeostasis of peace. But I definitely So mind-wise, it's breathing and being in touch with the body and the senses, which is like, I have not read your book yet, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be heavily quoting it in like some things that I'm currently writing. Like, because like right now I will tell you, like the synchronicities are awesome because like, oh, I don't know if I already told you, but like at the gym, I was hearing something you're talking about muscle testing and trauma release. And then as I was like feeling the weights on my body, I was like, oh, I think there's some trauma here. I think there's some like, so there's that feeling in our bodies with the people, whom have, quote unquote, done us wrong, or we've done them wrong.
Mm.
And it's because, so I like saying the word karmic. And I like saying the word karmic because I like believing in the possibility that I have lived other lifetimes with these individuals and that we're meant to teach each other lessons. Because like I can feel that we can feel the energies of when someone has that blockage against us because we have that within ourselves. There's a part of us where, we're just not entirely comfortable yet with addressing certain things. And in the end, in the present moment, it's based on us being able to really tune into our heart. And like, as much as we try to deny, just finding that forgiveness within ourselves to realize that we didn't know what we didn't know. And they were operating in their own state of consciousness as well. And it was just an energy exchange. It was an energy exchange with the emotional exchange that happens as well, because emotion is energy in motion.
Right.
So when I started learning that, I was like, okay, so yeah, I could have, these, sensitive feelings a little bit with other people, but at least I know that I can still see Christ in them. I can still see love in them. I can still accept them authentically for who they are and what they have been meant to teach me. And even if it comes to the point where like, there are people who may gossip about us, and there are people who may absolutely there are people who will be casting spells on us, literally with their words, literally curse us. And I did a bit of a channeling yesterday in regards, like something that felt like the energy of one of my sisters. And I'll be honest, in the channeling, some of the words are really dark. And in the end, I don't know if like it's something that I come up with that perception of myself, like through my sister. You know what I mean? Like it's in the end, it's actually us.
Right.
So it's like, oh man, I've hated myself to this level. I've literally, because those words that I channeled, I've actually said that to other people. So it's kind of like, fuck you, I hate you. It's like the really strong, like dark, like I don't want you alive kind of energy.
Wow.
And I've been that dark with other people. And so it's coming really to accept our darkness. And yeah. And we can choose to stay there. We can choose to stay in the energy, or we could choose to, to gain wisdom from it and decide, because I know there's also spiritual escapism with focusing on light as well. So
thank you for saying that. I'm having conversations with some really close friends, and it's tricky business because well, as you can imagine, yoga, spirituality, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry now. And I'm gonna put on my misjudgment hat for a moment. So my perception is that there is a theme of, this is so you can feel good theme. Okay, so I'm going to do yoga, I'm going to meditate, and so I can get to peace and, feel good. But the minute it starts getting hard and we start looking at those dark aspects of ourselves reflected in others, as you so eloquently said, then people go, oh, I want to stay in the light, right? It's so funny because one of my good friends, she wrote a beautiful meme. It says, um, stay on the light and you'll be all right. So I wrote in the comments something about the dark and the wisdom of the dark or something like that, right? She can take it. She already knows what I mean. But my point is that I was one of those that it's like be in the light, stay in the light, stay in the light, stay in the light. Like don't like ignore like don't even go there. Don't talk about it. Because if you talk about it, then you make it more real. And if you make it more real, then you're manifesting more dark. And I think I figured out the formula, Victoria, at this point.
Oh,
Okay, so
yeah.
let me run it by you. Again, you can give me your honest, authentic opinion here. Okay. So I got that, some people say, look, I don't want to talk about, conspiracy theories, whether they're true or not, because I don't want to go there because it's going to make more negative things happen, the more slavery, more child trafficking. Like if I talk about it, um, I am going to make more. Now, I'm not saying that these people should talk about it. That's totally not what I'm saying. My my sense is that there are some things that are just what is in the particular time frame, timeline that we are in and that we remember. Meaning that does it occur, the so-called negative things? Yes. Now, does somebody have to talk about it? No. But there's a difference between putting your head in the sand. It's like, oh, our world is so amazing. It's so perfect and light, stay in the light and spirituality and all that kind of stuff. And what I've found is that if you avoid the dark, and we're talking about the dark night of the soul here, right? If you avoid the dark, which is in all of us, right? It was in all of us. What happens is the dark takes hold and goes, oh, yeah, I'm here. I'm here. Hello. And kind of gets, takes us kicking and screaming, as opposed to like if somebody says something that's really seemingly shocking, like, oh, did you know what Planned Parenthood really does? Right. And you go down that rabbit hole. And then how do I not manifest more of that negative thing just because I know about the truth or an event that was true? I don't have a reaction to it. If I have a reaction to it and I don't want it to be there and I'm pushing it away, like, no, 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 don't tell me, don't tell me, don't, right? That's a reaction. The universe goes, oh, there's energy there. What do you want me to manifest? Oh, more of that?
Mm.
Sure. I can do that because I love you. Right? Whereas if
Ah.
somebody tells me the truth, but it's painful, right? It's a painful truth. I can go, okay, I can feel a little reaction in my body and just be with it, right? Be like you were talking about embodiment, right? So important. I find this is my, that's what I find is I can embody if I'm starting to have a reaction, if I'm starting to have a kind of a negative spiral, whatever, I just embody like, oh, what does that feel like in my body? And after a while, the mind goes, all right, we're kind of bored. Okay, I'm just, feeling the body. And then the thoughts, the negative thoughts, the reaction isn't there because I've brought it to the body. And I feel that even if we find out something that is true, because sometimes people will jam it like down our throats, like, you got to know this stuff, right? I know the truthers are sometimes like that. Wake up, people, blah, right? You
Yeah,
force
that
people,
was me a lot.
yeah, they get into a reaction and they create more of that, right? But if you are able to go, be in the body, and then not react, but respond, go, okay, now that I know that's okay, that's a puppet. That's not a person. Okay. Clones. Okay. Got it. All right. So now what do we do? Right. And you just kind of take it like, okay, I guess I decided to be in a world where they make clones and soulless people and they run around controlled by some sort of hive mind, which I haven't figured out yet. And okay, now what do I do with this information? Like how is this helpful, supportive? Like, right? Then the universe goes, there's no reaction. You see? So I'm not creating more of the negative world just because I know some negative things exist. I'm focused on creation. What am I choosing over here to create on purpose consciously? So anyway, that's my current understanding, which could change tomorrow. But that's
That's totally makes sense. Like totally makes sense. Because yeah, that's creation is our inspiration. I mean, that's my
Well, we're
business.
constantly creating, right? But our reactions, we're either responding or reacting. But whatever's the bigger energy, that wins. I used to always say that, because I'm figure skating, and I said, whoever has the biggest energy skating, they win. And they always do. The one with the biggest energy always wins. So, and that goes for political candidates as well. Whoever people love or hate the most usually wins.
Totally. Oh my gosh, because we just had the Olympics, and in the United States we're having, it totally makes sense. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I'm gonna be like, it's like another layer of conscious expansion right there. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I think you just bookmarked that, didn't you?
Yeah.
I'm bookmarking this. I'm coming back to this in a moment.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
does feel good. Yeah.
Yeah, but I love what you said about the not but and love what you said about the embodiment piece and your ability at this point, because maybe it's very natural for you now, and even for myself and most people, it's not that natural to as is ourselves in the moment. It's actually a high level skill. So how did you get there? Inquiring minds want to know. How do you get to the place where you can actually say, in this moment, I'm a little nervous, or I'm feeling this in my body, or whatever? Like most of us kind of forget about our bodies when we're in the middle of doing something until we're like, oh, we're at the ashram or we're at the yoga. Okay, we're going to be in our bodies now. Right. So how would you like to do that? Pretty amazing, actually.
I'll be honest with you. A lot of it is weed, because when I would use weed, I would really put intentions of wanting to connect to something higher. So I'm not on weed all the time. Like there are times where I take breaks, and there are times where I realize that like it feels more abusive, that I've abused it more when I don't put good intentions in there. But there's something about, and I'm not going to say it's only weed, but I'm going to say that weed has helped me really actually feel my body, because I've literally been so actually physically disconnected. Like
That is a good point.
I was so I'm 90% disabled in the United States military, with mostly PTSD and sleep apnea, which I'm not going to, I want to say this, but like I don't want to say this to like quote unquote incriminate myself. But like this journey has been awesome. Like this journey has been
there was a purpose, right? To
Mhm.
all of that. And we recognize that there are labels, that you're not hanging your hat on and being dependent on the labels. That was then,
Yes.
right? And that was an opportunity.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. It's an opportunity. And it gave you sometimes spirit works in strange ways.
No,
Here's
yeah,
your
exactly.
opportunity.
And so and I figured too, with the 90% disability that I receive monthly, now I'm just like, I want to use it for creation.
Yeah,
Like I want to use it to
absolutely.
reconnect. Like, yeah, because I figured, oh, it makes sense why, this big, small elite group, whatever, has been trying so hard to externally show people that they've been oppressing specifically women, and specifically and children. Children, purity, virtue, and women bear the children. And so for so long, so that's where the disconnection of the divine feminine is, and that's our ability to receive abundance. That's our ability to know our value and know our wealth in the physical realm.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, okay. So if I'm going to create things, I'm going to, like, I started a community group for women, and it's awesome so far. Like we've hung out and had amazing discussions so far, and literally talking about like the things that we're talking about. And so, and then I'm writing
And
a
is this
play.
local to you?
Oh, local, yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Writing a play by channeling, by using my like channeling abilities. And it's just like, so like, it's like now I'm seeing all these opportunities. But sorry, from your question, like how I started learning to really be present in the moment is like, it's feeling in my body when my voice feels natural and how I
Mm,
talk.
okay.
Because and that even goes into speaking another language, and that's why it's been a struggle here. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's been a struggle speaking Spanish because number one, I I'm getting over feeling guilty and shameful for not knowing Spanish because I am Hispanic. Like part of my
Oh,
um
okay, okay.
yeah, so
Your
it's like learning
heritage.
these things. And then I feel shameful for my heritage because we were the Spaniards.
Oh,
We were literally the Spaniards. So like so as I realized, oh, I'm also tapping into healing generational
yep, yep.
trauma. So even though I'm like, yeah, so it's just there, it just this whole journey has opened up a whole world, like
Wow,
multiple.
wow.
But but yeah, just being really real with myself and like it's just asking ourselves how we feel. And then if we feel nervous, if we feel it's love for me, like I see it in simple categories. I see it like, am I acting in love? Am I acting in fear?
Right.
If there's fear attached, if there's some sort of fear involved, okay, there needs to be some sort of deep dive into, you know,
Mm,
the root cause or root causes. Um, which goes into terrain model too, like the natural health, like what's the root causes of things and how do we work ourselves from there on. Because they're they could be potentially they could be called deficiencies. I don't like calling it deficient, but in a sense it can be that way because like I don't think naturally we're supposed to be so fearful of ourselves. And yeah, it's in
yeah,
this time
there's
and
a
age
lot of
because we're
programming on fear, right? Just over and over and over again. I actually really enjoy movies and superhero movies, especially ever since I was a kid, or magical supernatural movies. I was really into that. What I realized that sometimes the Hollywood formulas is really making us afraid or trying to make us afraid, of things, and some of the programming that's come down, whether that be, the Academy Award winner was around this killer virus before COVID-19, right? So they won the Academy Award on that. And all these different, like, seemingly coincidences, of things happening. So I like how you simplified it in a way. Is that, is it love based? Or is it fear based? And it sounds like you're not going, oh, that's bad, it's fear based, but more like, oh, let's dive in. Like, let's there. Huh. Sounds really interesting. That's what we talk about, the dark night of the soul. Do you know that saying, Victoria, where they say, and I love this saying, so people have heard me say it. When you're going through hell, don't stop. Right? Like get to the other side.
Hmm.
Right? Because people sometimes just, it's horrible here, right? And it's like, just keep going. Just keep going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and throughout the journey, you can befriend some demons. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I think the first time there was a demon in my back seat of my car, and at that point, I, asked the angels to protect my stuff, my car, blah blah blah. So they had all these orders, right? And I'm literally like, I'm hearing something in the back seat. I turn around, there's nobody there, and my husband's like, I heard. And then I figured out, with muscle testing and that it was a demon, and I'm thinking, and I'm like over here going, Michael, why is there a demon in the car? Like Archangel Michael, why is there a demon in the car? And no, nothing, like no answer. So I'm like, why are you here? And at that point, I was afraid. See, I was afraid, but I needed this lesson. I was like, why are you here? And it's like, well, the angel told me to come. I'm like, what the beep? Right? I'm thinking, what the right? I'm like, interesting. Why would the angel demon to come? Because angels can hear the demon. Like I use them all the time. They're really helpful. But I'm like, okay, well, let me do my thing, right? So I'm checking. I'm going, okay, what do you need? So I'm the demon is now my client. Okay. So I'm just checking. Why would they ask for my help? They don't need my help. But I thought, okay, I'm supposed to learn something. Long story short. So there was this, we'll just call it a curse energy, right? So the demon and its generations, if you will. It's hard to explain, but there was a thousands cohorts of demons wrapped and bound by this curse energy. And that
Wow.
one demon came to be freed. And I'm like, oh, well, I can do for all of you guys. So I
Wow.
thought to myself, why would, so we did, and it said, thank you very much, and blah, 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 and went away. But I thought, why would the angels ask? And I'm like, oh, I know why. Because I had a judgment about demons. They were bad. You need to get rid of them, you know? And then some of the, other books I've read, and there's not, there, at the time, there wasn't a lot on it. So I just had this judgment. I never thought in a million years they would come for help. Like, never thought. Like, just like they would be sick of being a demon. Like, wow. So, yes. So, when you talk about befriending a demon, I'm not really friends per se. We don't hang out, but it's like, thanks, we're gone. Right. It's like, huh. So, that's that part where you were talking right at the beginning of the podcast around how whatever we see out here is us. Yeah, but we kind of have to see the other reflection of us. So then we know what it is, we can heal, traverse in the next part of the journey, right? And so because I befriended or was nice to the demon, did that, I was like, oh, that really for me was really helpful for that acceptance of the dark night of the soul. Instead of trying to get rid of my shadow, like get away, get away, get away, it was more like, oh, what is there to teach me? How high I've been that, but not with guilt, right? You mentioned about not feeling guilty or shame around those things, but then it's like, well, if I can love myself for having these foibles, then what about this other person who might be in their shadow side that I can still see the light of their wholeness of who they really are, despite what they're doing? Doesn't mean that you're, Victoria, that you're condoning, negative, bad, harmful things to another or yourself, but that you're still able to see them in that compassionate light, but still have healthy boundaries. Did I kind of summarize like what I got from our conversation?
Oh, totally. I'm glad you ended on boundaries because that's huge. So huge. Energetic boundaries.
Yes.
Yeah, because in the physical realm, like energies are transactional. Um, and I feel like in the spiritual realm, it's transformational, like transformational, transactional. But yeah, like every single little time that we opt into someone's like lychee energy, and it's like it's how much are we willing to dim our own light, and dim the authenticity of who we are, instead of just telling the person like, honestly, you're projecting. Like,
Usually
because
doesn't go very well when we say that, but
yeah, but yeah, at the same time, I've had to look at what the person's saying and be like, okay, I had in a way, in in a way, ignoring. It's kind of like part of it was like someone, like for example, someone comes up with like something huge like against you, like you spilled the soy sauce in the fridge and you're doing this intentionally to, make me mad.
right,
And
right, right.
like, first of all, you didn't do it. Second of all, like it's those things where it's kind of like it's
Oh, well, I
giving
got a
me.
good one. You're gonna kill grandma because you didn't get vaxxed and put a mask on your face. So
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
got a lot of those.
So yeah, ooh, yeah. So yeah, people like that. It's like okay, they're the parts of us who are um really making sure that we know who we are.
Yes, thank you. Yes, 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 yes. Thank you. Yeah, because oftentimes we need the contrast, and I do question myself still sometimes, and it's okay that I do that. But then it always comes back to, okay, feel into who I am, and not attached. I'm actually less attached to who I am, to be honest. Like the
Oh,
persona, right? And
yeah.
just more like in this moment, why is this triggering me, or whatever that is. Um, and so making decisions and having that discernment with the healthy boundaries. Life is so fast. Victoria, you probably have felt it as well. Like I feel like energy is so fast, like it's speeding along. We can't take the time that we used to 30 years ago or 20 years ago, whatever. Like we just have to be able to make a decision quickly. And if we're not embodied, and if we're not in the now, in this moment, and we're not willing to see the other as ourselves, I'm not saying you always do it perfectly, or I don't always do perfectly, but willing to do that, right? Then it's like I feel like sometimes we fall behind. Not that there's a judgment about, but that it just, it feels like more of an onslaught if we're not able to make that quick decision and navigate. It's like somebody who's an expert at, kayaking, whitewater kayaking. I don't know if you've ever seen these athletes. It's amazing. It's just amazing. Like they're trained, obviously. They don't start from nothing, but they're just navigating around these so-called dangerous rapids. And sometimes they might go under, and they do it on purpose. They go under and they come right back up. Like somebody might die that way, right? If you're not trained, but they can just navigate it because they have to think quickly. So I think that's where we're at spiritually as a collective. My 2 cents about that anyway.
I totally agree. Totally agree. But it is awesome. It really is awesome.
Yeah, we're living in very amazing times right now. We chose to incarnate in this reality, which is so weird, but at the same time, so transformational. We can either be dragged kicking or screaming, or we can just kind of go with it. Like in this moment, this moment, this moment. We'd love for you to tell folks where they can find you, what your offerings are, what's coming up for you in the near future.
Yeah, absolutely. So I will say, because I'm like still getting out of like kind of the main feeling of my dark night of the soul energy, like there are definitely a lot of projects like that are going to be more manifested in like a year, 3 years time. Who knows? Energy is happening really fast.
Oh,
so
yeah,
like,
yeah.
who knows? It might be a month.
All the energy.
It's like I'll post news updates on what I'm doing, but as I mentioned, I'm starting a podcast, and I would really like to have these conversations with ascended masters, and not just ascended masters, but just everyone whom I know, who would like to share like what inspires them, in their life. Because I think when we talk about it, we cast spells into the universe. And good intentional
well
spells.
Positive spells, right? I like it.
Positive spells. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a name
Not
for
like
your
live
future
life,
podcast?
Oh wait, sorry.
Do you have a name for your future podcast?
Div Inspiration podcast.
Okay.
And I would like to get into people's backstories, of really the synchronicities that they've seen in their lives that have got them to the point where they are at in the present moment. So really just connecting the dots. I mean, I was a military police officer, so the investigation part, the synchronicities, the clues, that's pretty much what
cool.
Here. It's cool. It's so cool.
I need friends who are in the police, though. It's interesting, like a profession that I don't really have a lot of friends in that arena. So it's kind of nice to know you. You have that background, it's interesting. One of my dear soul sisters, she's like a forensic, what was it? A forensic, not accountant. Forgot the title, but it's like, yeah, I think a forensic accountant. Like she's in corporate, and I was like, I don't know, there's a thing. Like, what is that? Like how companies and things can cheat and like schemes, and so fascinating.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's really great. So divineinspiration.org. Do you want to spell that for folks?
Oh, Div Inspiration. It is divine inspiration, but I made it into one word. DIV.
Inspiration. I got it. Okay. So DIV and then inspiration.org.
Yeah. And then I do read astrology. So if people are interested in either learning how to read astrology, or they would like a reading of their birth chart, I do that, because that's also, I've been doing that for a few years now, just like looking at mine, looking at my friends and family. And that actually also brought me here to the present moment, in realizing, oh, this time, this day and age, has been predicted for thousands of years. Wow. So I'm like, oh, okay, there's some truth here. And then tarot cards on the side. But if I really what you could do to support me would be to follow my TikTok. So I do have two TikToks. There's one called 𝗟𝗡𝗟𝗡𝗟, one called 𝗟𝗡𝗟inspiration. And what I really do is I like to take what I'm learning and just share it. And if it's a synchronicity with you, then totally. Like I'm really I'm humbled and excited to inspire people with
That's
with all of the stuff. It's amazing. And to share ideas and everything, because yeah, I've been meeting such phenomenal people on this journey, and who, like, just absolutely phenomenal people, and learning that learning how to love, really learning how to love everyone. So I would love to connect with anyone who is listening to this. Um, I would love to witness your talents and your skills, and share ideas. But if I were to say something for the end of this podcast, is really just to be you, like be authentically you. There is fear and courage. Like it can be
yeah.
very, definitely. But yeah, the courage within ourselves, the sun within ourselves. We are the suns of our own galaxy. It's by finding that courage within to really find out who we are, because I really feel like it's rewarding after it. So, and I want other people to feel that way too. So yeah.
Mm, that's beautiful. Thank you, Victoria. And I think that TikTok is very fortunate to have you on there. I'm going to be honest, I'm not on there. My team, who are much younger than I am, are like, "Oh, you should be on TikTok." I'm like, "Nope, not doing that." This is not resonant with me at the moment. She goes, "But you want to inspire young people." I'm like, "I'm just not doing it." I'm busy as it is, but it's so great to hear that you are on it. So then you can be the voice of inspiration, especially for that generation. So it's so cool. Thank you so much, Victoria, for spending your time with me today. It's been delightful. I think we'll be connected for many, many years to come, I'm pretty sure.
I really think so too. I super think so.
Awesome. So thank you. And we'll put all the links below this podcast, guys, for those of you tuning in. I want to thank all our Light Medicine community members and our Light Warrior Network community members for tuning in. And I want to thank everyone for just, being the light and being willing to go through the dark to illuminate the world even more. So thank you. Thank you. Until next time, much love, everyone. Much love, Victoria.